tell you when it's official.
Sure.
All righty. Hello, everybody. I just signed in and we are live. So if you see me and hear me here with Elizaveta today for our demo, just type in hello so I can see if you guys are hearing me okay. I'll tell you when it's official. All right. All righty. Hello, everybody. Sounds like we are good. All right. I am Anna. I'm here with Etcher Lab, and I am here with Elizaveta today. And we are going to have a great demo of some of her artwork. So if you guys have questions, I am the moderator today. So with Etcher Lab, make sure you put question in all caps so I can see if you have questions, and I can help guide those questions to Elizaveta as she's working. If you guys have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. And we can give you notifications when we do have these wonderful live demos ready for you. So, Elizaveta, are you ready to get started? We are going to start with a little sketchbook flip so you guys can see some of the great stuff she has. And then we will get started on the painting.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizaveta. I'm an artist and I really love painting on location. I've been urban sketching for about 3 years now, and today we're going to talk about the process, because I, as everybody else, went through this stage. When you go outside, you see a lot of beautiful buildings around, and you are so overwhelmed that you don't really know what to do. And so, yeah, today we're going to look at the technique when you focus on just one detail out of the whole building. I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So, for example, here is the window. Obviously, that's not the whole building, just a window. And here is just part of the street, like just two buildings. There were many of them. I decided to pick just two because obviously when you're painting outside, you are limited in time, and maybe the weather is not good or something, like people are distracting you. So yeah, today we're going to do something similar.
Those are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, today, I don't know if you were able to download the reference picture, but it should be on the Etcher website, is it right?
I'll post it in the chat for you guys as well.
Cool. So yeah, just in case you want to paint along. Today we're going to be painting Southwark Cathedral in London. And it's a massive cathedral. It's got a lot of interesting details. And actually, that's one of the benefits of focusing on details when you are going to paint outside, is that you can paint just one building several times, because you have like these beautiful things on this building, and you can paint these detail ones and then maybe these another time, like a door, window. And today we're going to paint a clock tower. Maybe you've seen it on Etcher website. And because it's easily the most noticeable part of the building, and probably the easiest as well, because it's a simple shape. It has a small amount of details, but they're still there, so it's going to be interesting. The only difficulty you can experience with this part is the perspective, because as you can see, it's tilted a little bit, but we will talk about it later, and you can even paint it straight, like you don't have to always repeat your scene. So yeah, first of all, I'd like to talk about materials a little bit, what I'm going to be using. So first of all, it's paper. You can use any paper you like to work on, or if you're a beginner, it probably should be watercolor paper. The brand doesn't matter. I'm going to be using Etcher blocks, watercolor blocks. But yeah, as I said, it should be a watercolor paper because we're going to be using water, and your paper should be resistant to water. So I also use tape to like glue my paper to some board, because if you are familiar with watercolor, you know that if you use a lot of water, your page can go a little bit wavy. To avoid this, it's a good idea to use tape or a clip if you have it. What else?
That's
Pencils?
a great tip to help it not, so it stretches it a little bit. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're working in a sketchbook, you can also use a sketchbook. And in sketchbooks, I usually use paper clips. It's also great.
Ah, great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm using mechanical pencil just because, again, on location, it's easier. You don't have to use a sharpener. What else? Erasers. So this is a usual pencil eraser. And this is a kneadable eraser, just in case you don't know what it is. This is a special like art eraser, which removes the extra graphite level like layer out of your painting. So it doesn't erase your painting, your drawing, sorry, but it just removes your extra graphite, because later it can mix with your paints and make them a little bit dirty. So yeah, it's a very useful tool. Paints, today we're going to be using just maximum three colors. Yeah, so the main one is yellow ochre, and the other one is dioxazine purple, or any purple you have. I'm going to be using a purple which has a pigment PV23 in it. And I'll explain later why it's these two specific colors, because there is also a reason why I picked these colors. And I'll be using just a little bit of blue for the sky, but you know, if you don't want to paint the sky, that's okay. Next, quickly about brushes. The main brush, you can even use just one brush for this piece. The main thing is that it has to be thick enough, like number 6, for example, or maybe number 8. But also another condition is that it should have a pointed tip for details. So if your brush doesn't have a pointed tip, then you have to use a smaller one to be able to paint details.
And which one do you find you use the most?
Brush?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of my favorite ones because it has a very pointed tip, and you know, sometimes it's even better than brushes like number 2, which is quite small, but I prefer this even more than smaller brushes. I also like coil, I believe they're called, or like with this specific thing. So yeah, these type of brushes. And one more for the sky. If you're going to paint it, then I'll be using a mop brush for this. So something big, so it's more convenient. And obviously water.
Water for watercolors.
And tissue. Tissue is very important as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's it. I think I mentioned everything.
Yeah, let's get started. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, cool. So let's start.
There's a question from Kitty as you're getting started. Are there other purples that have pigment that you use?
Do I use other purples today or just in general?
Today, are you using any purples?
Yeah, I'm going to be using just one purple, the one I mentioned in my palette. It's called dioxazine purple, and it has pigment PV23.
PV23, perfect.
Yeah, so today, no other purples, just this one.
And those are the Etcher color set?
Yeah, you can find them in Etcher watercolor set.
Awesome.
And yellow ochre as well.
Yellow ochre. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, so let's start. As usual, we will start with a pencil sketch, and sometimes it's the most difficult part, but I'll try to guide you through it. So we're going to be painting just this part of the whole building because, like, for me, the whole building is really overwhelming. So I would prefer to focus on just one part. So what I usually do, I draw a single like center line. And actually, when you draw this line, it will also set and define your composition. So you decide where you want to put your piece in relation to your piece of paper. Sometimes it's a good idea to move it a little bit to the side because it looks more balanced on the piece of paper. But because we're going to be painting sky, you can easily put your tower in the center just because I'm planning to put the sky on the side. So the whole piece is going to be moved to the side because of the sky. So yeah, the center line, this line, you draw this line because you want, it will help you to make sure that all your lines look okay, because this line is parallel to the ends of your piece of paper. And in this way, you will make sure that your drawing looks okay. But this line doesn't have to represent any elements from your photo reference or your building if you're painting outside. So I always start from the center. In this case, the center is going to be, I'm trying to find a way so you can see the photo reference as well. So yeah, I'm going to be starting from this side, just because it's the center in terms of this line dividing the building into two parts, into this surface and this one. Because it's in perspective, in my opinion, the easiest way to understand how to draw your line on the piece of paper is I'm measuring it with my pencil and transfer it to the piece of paper. And if you are painting on location, then you're going to be measuring it like this.
So you're using your tools as a guide to help you find the
exactly.
measurements.
And my first point is going to be this one on this line. And then I'm going to find a second point. And it's a good idea to do it like a couple of times at least, because that's not the most trustworthy method. But it's good when you are painting on location because you don't want to be dealing with proper perspective. So yeah, it looks okay. Yeah.
So you're kind of just creating your pencil to angle it and find precisely the right shape for the building.
Exactly, yes.
And you mentioned when you're in drawing from life, you'll hold it up in front of your face perhaps to kind of create those lines as well.
Yeah, so basically when you are on location, you need to like hold your hand like this. Yeah, so I don't know how to say it. Like you need to move your hand forward and close your eyes just a little bit. Yeah, and then like you will see what is the tilt of your line.
Kind of working with what you got to make the
exactly.
to make it look like you want.
Yeah.
That looks great already. I can tell this is a great technique to use because it's coming along.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always double checking everything. And I think with time, the more you practice, you will even be able to do it on your own without any measurements. So now we have kind of the center, and now we have to decide what is the size of these elements. So the way to do it, again, without any rulers or like any like super hard rules, is to you pick some element as your initial unit of measurement. For example, I'm going to be picking this and see how many times it will like how many times you can put this unit into here. It's about twice. Yeah, so you can see this is twice bigger than this line, or twice longer.
So I see you are using your thumb kind of to break the pencil up and
Yeah, so I put the tip of my pencil to one end, and then I use my finger to identify the other end, and then like this is the length of this element, and then I see how many times it fits into the other part. Yeah, I hope it's clear.
yeah.
If not, yeah, you can ask questions, but I think it's pretty straightforward. So again, this is free, so you can decide it for yourself on your piece of paper, like how long you want this line to be. So this one you can decide for yourself, but this one obviously is going to depend on this thing. You should also pay attention to the whole composition. So don't make this piece too long, because of course it's not going to fit if it's going to be too big.
So you're counting kind of exactly where you're going to put all the elements.
Yeah. So approximately it's going to be here. So what we do next, we do again the same thing as we did here. We are going to identify where these lines are going to be. And if at the beginning our like primary point was here, now our primary points are going to be here for this line and here for this line.
I love how precise you are. It definitely helps with the shape of the buildings as you're going.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the most important things to build your pencil sketch in the correct way, because if your perspective is wrong, if your pencil drawing is wrong, then it doesn't really matter what you do with watercolor, it will not look real. I mean, of course, it depends on your goals, because some people don't really strive for perfection, for like a realistic view. But if you do want your building to look realistic, you need to pay attention to your pencil sketch.
I mean, it's definitely looking a lot like that building. So that's really good tips to use if you want to have that precise depiction.
Yeah, and if you're painting along, again, you don't have to measure all these things. So you could just paint it like this. Yeah, so the only thing you would have to pay attention to is this part, because you still have to make sure that it's in perspective.
Yeah, perspective is very important. Eileen has a question for you.
Yeah.
Does the right hand vertical line get wider at the bottom?
Right hand, this one?
Yes.
Yeah, here it does. We will work on it as well.
Great question. So we will see that as we keep working.
Just gonna check. Yeah, I think I'll correct it a little bit.
And I think we have a friend saying hi. Marka says, hi, Elizaveta.
Oh, hello.
Hi from Brazil, Illinois. So many
Hello.
people. Thanks again for being here, guys.
Yeah, hello, everyone.
If you're just jumping into, Elizaveta is working on the sketch before we get started on the painting. And we've already got some tips on how to get the precise measurements as you're drawing. And everyone's a little different, so we don't have to do it all the same. That's the most exciting part, is when we see how everybody creates differently.
I'm just checking how it looks on camera. Okay, yeah, then, so basically first I draw all the main parts of the building. So here it's going to be these lines, obviously, and now I'm going to do the sections, like, because this tower is divided into like 3 sections.
Yeah. Where those windows are.
Yeah, so basically it doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't matter if I'm correct with the exact measurement of each section. I'm just going to do it as I want. But again, this part, when you have to do the perspective right, it's important.
So the main points that you were mentioning before are, you would consider them the most important parts to make sure you're getting that perspective correct?
You mean these ones?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, because in order to make a line, you need just 2 points. So you always pick the first point yourself to make it easier. And then, for example, here, because we already have this line, so obviously you know that your point is going to be somewhere on this line. And to identify where this point is, we were measuring with this way. So now we know that our first point is here. And then by transferring our line from the picture to the paper, we are identifying where our second point is. Yeah, and 2 points is enough to make a line.
Yeah, awesome. Looking good.
Yeah, so this is like our first. And then it's even easier because for the next sections, you can just use the same as it was here.
So once you get those first lines down, it starts to get a little easier to figure out where the rest are.
Yeah, exactly, because I mean, they are not exactly the same if you know the perspective, but for our sketch, we can say that they are the same. And as someone mentioned, the form here is changing a little bit.
Good eye, Eileen. And some of those things, do you discover them as you keep sketching? You're changing things as you go?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the more I like practice, the more I see that maybe I need to change something. Yeah, that's true. And here it's the same. So this part just a little bit wider than this one. So for me, it's easier to correct them later than start measuring different lines from the beginning, because it's just easier to make sure that your line goes wider in this part. But if you prefer to do it in a different way, that's okay.
And we have another question from Kavitha. She was wondering if it is easier to work from a printout rather than a phone.
Yeah, I think it is, but I often don't have a printer. That's the only reason I use my phone. Yeah, so when you have a printed out version, you can even draw on it, make some notes, and I think it's a great idea, yeah.
Sometimes we just have to use what's convenient though, right?
Yeah. And also the benefit of using your phone is you can zoom in and see all the details.
Mm-hmm. So there's like, there's good in both.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't always sketch on location. Sometimes I take a picture and then go to a cafe and sketch there. And obviously you can't print when you're in a cafe, so you have to use your phone.
But you do have some coffee or snacks with you when you do that, so that's a great option too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, looking for my camera. I don't like this line.
Mariam says she adores architectural art and can't wait to do this on her own.
Oh, me too. I think it's good. And actually, yeah, I was looking at my drawing through my phone, and it's also a good tip. So sometimes when you draw perspective, it's difficult to understand if you are doing the right thing. And if you take a picture with your phone, you can easily see all your mistakes. Or maybe if you like put your painting near your wall and then step back, like, I don't know, 3 meters again, you will see all your mistakes.
Let your eye rest. Is that something you feel like you do often? Is like take a step back to take it in?
Yeah, like when perspective is complicated, then yes. Because again, if you leave mistakes in your pencil sketch, you will never be able to correct them later. And basically, it's easier to correct them in this stage rather than wait until the end.
Darlene has another question.
Yeah.
She was saying that she was taught to not erase so much on watercolor paper. What's your opinion? Does it damage the paper or take away from the paint later on?
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this, and it's a difficult question because I think in a way it definitely does damage watercolor paper, but I wouldn't say it's, if you erase a little bit, it's not critical. So that's like from my experience. Of course, it will matter if you draw. Like if I would erase all of this now and start drawing again, then probably it's not a good idea. But if you just erase a little bit, it will be fine.
So the lines that you're putting down, you're definitely planning on using.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great question, Darlene. Thank you.
You can avoid it by drafting your drawing and then transferring it into your watercolor paper through tracing. But again, you cannot always do that, because if you are painting on location, it's not an option.
So if it's something that you're really loving, you can always go back and use the draft to transfer it over.
Yeah.
Oh, the little details are coming.
Yeah, and actually, I'm not going to be drawing all the details with pencil. Some of them it's easier to do them with a brush straight away.
So we'll see more details coming soon. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So we are about halfway at this point in our demo here today.
Okay.
If you guys are loving what you're seeing so far, I'm going to post the link for the mini workshop. It's a limited seating, so make sure you jump in on that and sign up. You'll have more time to spend with Elizaveta and ask her questions as you go on. And so I'm going to post that in the chat for you guys.
I can't believe it's halfway through. I'm going to speed up.
I know, time goes so fast when you're having fun.
Yeah.
It looks awesome though, Elizaveta. I'm loving seeing these details coming in.
And that's actually what happens when you are drawing and painting on location as well. So your time is limited. Sometimes you have to speed up.
Yeah, you might be waiting for the bus or something. There's a question if you've ever used the grid app where it puts a grid on your photo. Have you used that? And would you say that's helpful?
Is it when you divide your screen into sections?
Or it creates like a little grid over your drawing to help show you the proportions, I suppose?
I've never used it, but it sounds great. I want to try it now.
Nora, we're going to have to try that too.
Okay.
I suppose the way you were measuring with your pencil is the same idea.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so then we will do the details in the windows later with the brush if we have time, hopefully. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be using a kneadable eraser before we start with watercolor. I think my screen is going to shake a little bit. I'm sorry about this.
It's okay, it's part of the process.
So yeah, basically you remove all the mess from your sketch with this tool.
So I think we're about to get into the painting. Someone was asking if we're going to see the yellow ochre and the dioxide purple that you'll be using. We are getting there. Are you using the kneaded eraser to lighten the line so it's not as prominent in the drawing?
Yeah, exactly. And then, so the graphite doesn't mix with your paints. Because watercolor is transparent, you don't want anything to ruin that effect. But the main point is to not erase everything, just remove your first layer of your graphite. Okay, yeah, so to the watercolor, as I mentioned, I'm going to be using just two colors. The first one is yellow ochre. So basically the reason I picked this color is because it's very similar to the color of many old buildings, to the stones. Yeah, and also it can be found in many watercolor sets. You can also use like raw sienna or something similar. And the second one is a purple. And I picked purple because it's a complementary color to yellow. So as you can see here, they are opposite each other, which means that they are complementary colors, and which means that they will neutralize each other. So obviously this color, the yellow, is too bright and too yellow for this building. If we mix them,
Magic.
yeah, so it will turn into a very like nice stony color. So yeah, and I think it can even be your universal mix for architectural painting. It's not the only mix, but it's a good one.
Do you have any recommendations if someone doesn't have a purple?
Oh, I've got the example piece here.
Sneak peek, sneak peek.
Yeah. What did you say? Sorry.
Do you have any recommendations if someone does not have a purple to use?
If you don't have, maybe you could also try a mix of orange and blue. Yeah, again, same principle because they're complementary colors and you will get something neutral. Yeah, so that's also a nice mixture for architecture if you don't have a purple.
So you can kind of mess around with the complementary colors to get what you're looking for.
Yeah, because buildings, they are mainly in neutral colors, unless it's a colorful building. Okay, so yeah, now I'm mixing my colors on my palette and I add a lot of water because the building is not very dark. And I'm going to be starting with this surface. This is kind of our medium light, in between light and the shadow, because we can see that the sun is coming that way because we can see shadows here. And even though on the photo it's not that pronounced, we are going to make this side considerably lighter than this one, just to make it more interesting, I guess. Yeah, because when you're painting, you have to make more effort in order to create a realistic feeling to your painting.
Creative license where you can add and take away what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, here I'm just going through this part of the building with the mix of yellow ochre and purple. And sometimes I'm going to be using more purple, sometimes more ochre, just to create more interesting kind of touch to the building. So it's not all the same color, because if it's all the same color, then it's a bit boring.
So even that since you're using two colors, you can still mix and change the feeling in the painting.
Exactly, yes.
I love that. I love you can be so creative with just a very simple palette. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's benefits of watercolor. I'm not going to be touching windows for now because there are many small details and we will work on them later.
Now, did you start painting just right on the dry paper?
Yes.
And there's just a lot of water on your brush.
Yeah, like I would say not a lot, but medium amount. I will show you. This is how the mixture looks like. A lot of water and not a lot of paint.
Good. It's coming to life. The watercolor makes it come to life. I love it.
So now it's one of my favorite parts because that's like not a finished part of the building. what I sometimes do is I just put my sketchbook or paper like this. I use now a lot of water and I just let it flow.
Oh, that is so fun.
Interesting effects. Because it's a sketch. You can even shake it a little bit if it doesn't want to flow.
That is such a cool effect. And you're just adding extra water to your brush and kind of letting it drip down.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I'm just dipping my brush into pure water and adding it into my painting. Yeah.
And nobody will get the same exact effect. So everyone's going to have very different paintings. I love that.
Exactly, yes. Maybe you can add even some like splashes. That's the first layer of the building is done. Now we are going to work on this side. And as I mentioned, we're going to make it a little bit lighter just to create this 3D feeling on the paper. And actually, this side is going to be the lightest area on the whole piece. If we had more time, I would wait until this part is properly dry. But as we don't have that much time, I'm going to try and be careful. And if something happens, that's for the sketch, it's okay.
You have to let loose a little bit sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So if people are rewatching this, you would suggest that to let that front of the building dry a bit and then continue to work on the side.
Yeah, just because it's a proper technique. You wait until your first layer is dry until you start adding something else, because we will probably see the consequences of this later when we have these, like, I believe they're called cauliflowers, when your water and paint goes into your drying wash. And it's not a very good thing, but when you're sketching on location, it's okay. So yeah, this is our main layer. After that, the only thing that is left is to add details and our deepest shadows. For these, we are going to use all the same colors, but just we are going to use less water, more paint, and to make them a bit more purple and darker. In this way, you will make sure that your shadows are darker than your light.
That makes a lot of sense since it's the darker color.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something like that.
Oh, wow, that is dark. I love it.
If you are afraid of dark colors, maybe you can start with something lighter by just adding more water, because you can always go darker in watercolor, but not the other way around.
That's a great tip, especially for newer painters that may be worried about putting too much pigment on at first.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see.
So you were just preparing the paint and kind of letting it dry for a minute?
Yeah, so I'm just waiting until this one is at least a little bit partly dry, these our covered areas. So yeah, I'll just quickly explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the windows I'm going to paint details in the windows. I'm going to paint this shadow, this one, and shadows on these elements as well. Yeah.
And if you guys are loving this, I'm just going to post one more time that mini workshop for you because Elizaveta has so much more to show you guys. So I'll post that in there and you can jump in. It is $5.50 and it is a limited seating. So take advantage and jump in and get your ticket now so you can join. And that is available to rewatch as well. Once you purchase it, we will send you the recording after it is complete. So if you're loving this, come back for more.
Yeah, it's a shame we have just 1 hour.
I know, we could all paint all day, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go in with the shadows.
Yeah, as soon as we start adding them, you will see the effect immediately. So your painting is going to go like, you're going to have 3D effect.
The magic of watercolor, I love it.
And I think we probably won't have time to add sky, unfortunately, because that's one of my favorite parts. But because the paint is drying so slowly, I'm afraid we won't have time to do it. But if we had, I would add the sky first and then I would add details, just because depending on your paper, not all papers are able to handle layering. So if you put your details first and then your sky, then your details might like flow, if it makes sense.
So you want to start with the background and work towards the foreground?
Yeah, so if we had more time, I would do that. But now I think details are more important than adding the sky. That's why I'm working on them.
Even more reason for you guys to jump in that mini workshop.
So now, because there are not so many deep shadows in this building, it's just like here and there. So basically, I'm just going to be working with details. And I think that's the most interesting and fun part.
And I see you're using a brush that has a very fine point to it at the end.
Yes. Okay, so this is not completely dry.
There's another question.
Yeah.
Which brand is your brush? Because this person is curious if that holds a lot of water and pigment in it, and they're looking for a good brush.
This one.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a great one because, as they said, it holds a lot of water and pigment, but at the same time, it has a very pointed tip. So it's a really good brush, and I'm using this one as well. And this is Leonard brush in size 3/0 or 3 zeros. I don't know what is the correct way. And this is Escoda brushes, and it's a similar brush. It's a good one as well. So I'm mainly using these two.
So something that has a fine point at the end would be useful.
Yeah, exactly.
The details are really making it pop. This is so exciting. I hope you all are enjoying this demo as well. I'm happy to see so many people from all over the world, and seeing the outcome of this painting is so beautiful already. Thank you for jumping on again, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I'll work on the windows, so at least you can see. Hopefully, we will finish it in like 10 to 20 minutes. But if not, I want to show you how to work with them. So again, this side is in the shadow. So we don't paint light when we are working on details, because if we do, then it's going to look a little bit childish, like you are, what do you call that? When you draw the line around your object. So it's not a proper watercolor technique. You usually define your shadows, not the lights.
What would you say takes the longest? Would it be the detail work at the end here?
In this particular piece, yes, because as you can see, the beginning was really easy. You just need to use a wash for this side, and that's it. And then you just work on details. But sometimes if the element is more complicated, yeah, there are different situations. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm looking closely at the shape of these details. And I'm trying to imitate them with my brush.
Ah.
If I had more time again, I would draw them in pencil first as well, just in case, because I really like to be precise.
And is that why you would let everything dry first?
Yeah, so again, nothing would flow.
Mm-hmm. I like that you are very detail oriented, and then you also have that drip of the watercolor, which it's like they complement each other, just like the colors you use.
Exactly, yeah, it works on contrast. So
Yeah.
you have to contrast.
Yeah, it creates such an interest.
So as you can see, I'm only drawing the lines on the left side. So I'm not doing anything on the right side. To create an illusion like it's a shadow there. I'm going to add more yellow ochre into my mix. Just again, not to use the same color everywhere.
So you're lightening that deep purple?
In color, yes, but also I'm not using more water, I'm using more paint still.
Hmm.
You can see small details here as well. I'm going to add them too. But again, like when you are working with details, I think that's up to everyone what they want to add. It's a very personal thing, but I would usually add the main things which really like noticeable first, and then see if that's enough. If not, maybe add something else. And with my strokes, I'm also trying to kind of imitate the oldness, because this building is really old. It's not perfect, so I'm not making my lines perfect. That's also very important.
You can let loose a little bit to
Yeah.
match the feeling of the building.
Yeah, exactly. So I can interrupt my lines sometimes, or just, put some dots somewhere.
So Ramona pointed out that you're doing like a negative painting in the windows right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because they are so small. Um, I mean, you could try adding light as well, but because they are so small, I decided not to add any light at all, just to leave it white.
That is some detail. I love it.
Can you see it well on the screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Can everyone else see it okay on their screens? Let me know if you're having trouble seeing. We can zoom in a little bit.
So I'm just repeating what I did before. But actually, yeah, if you look at these windows, they are a bit different. But because I don't like this solid block of color on this window, I decided to do this um, similar thing with the bottom windows as I did with these ones. But it's up to you. If you like it, you can just color the whole area.
So again, you can choose as long as you're getting that feeling, right? Of the
Yeah,
building.
exactly. Yeah, I think you said the right thing, is that because the size of this piece is so small, it's important just to give your viewers the feeling of this building, not the exact measurements, shapes, details.
Mhm. We do have a few viewers that would like for us to zoom in a little. Do you think we can adjust the camera a little?
Right? Yeah.
See if we can see it a little closer. How's that, everybody? Does that look good? I can see the details a little bit better, yeah. Good. Let me know if that's good for you all. And Elizaveta, we are coming up to our hour point. We can go over a little bit if you would like some more time. That's up to
Oh,
you.
yeah, maybe 15 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
We do have a viewer who's wondering, there was a clock in the reference. Did you choose to take that out?
All right, I didn't mention that. Yeah, I decided to take that out just because the size of my sketch is so small. If I would add the clock, uh, for me, it will be too much. But if you want to add it, that's totally fine.
With the details, it seems like you really slowed down and you're really just taking your time. Is that important?
Yeah, I think it is very important because details make all the difference and all the beauty. So, depending on how much time you have, you can work on details like forever. I mean, of course, there will be a point where you have to stop, but sometimes it takes the longest.
Do you ever find you start a painting and then go back and add details later?
Um, depends on how later. Usually, if I decide for myself that the painting is not finished, then I can. But if I think that the painting is finished, then probably no.
Is there a way to simplify some of these details?
I think we're simplifying them a lot. I don't know. Maybe if you don't draw the exact shape of these elements in your window, like you see, they are very beautiful. So maybe if you just ignore them and just paint these horizontal lines, maybe that's the way.
Like to block in the colors?
Yeah.
And you did mention that sometimes you start with a pencil. Would that be a suggestion for somebody who is newer, that starting with a pencil might help add the details later?
Yeah, yeah, I would, because usually pencil work is an interesting thing because you need to add as much pencil as it's comfortable for you. So for different people, it will be the sketch will look different, because for someone who is like super experienced, for them it will be enough mm, just to make some basic lines, just to understand where your like building is going to be, if it's a building, and that's it. But of course, if you are just starting, watercolor is so difficult that you have to make your life easier by um, drawing it with pencil first. Like drawing your all your details.
Kind of as like a guide for when you do start painting.
Exactly, because if you do all the hard work with your pencil, then it will be easier to work with watercolor, because usually it's like if you have, it's like, you have a, like a chart pie chart, sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, if the more work you do with pencil, the less work you have to do with watercolor, and other way around. But I
So
mean, it's not always like that, but with architecture, it's often.
it's looking so great.
Just going to add some details in our first color, which is more yellow. So I'm going to return back to this color, make it just a little bit brighter, which means I'm going to add more paint and less water, just to add some details in this color, because now for me, it looks a bit simple, like the wash and the shape. So I want to make it a little bit more interesting. Again, it should be quite light, but brighter than our first wash.
Adding some more contrast in there, brighten it up a
Yeah.
little. We are going to just extend a little bit, guys, so we can see some more of the details. Judy was wondering, what is the color yellow you're using again?
Yellow ochre, or you can use raw sienna, because very often they are interchangeable.
And we have a few more new people jumping on. Welcome. We
Yeah,
are almost finishing up here, but just adding some more details here. If you guys love this and want to see more, you can watch the playback after we post it. And of course, we have an extended version of this for a mini workshop. You guys can jump in there and join in again on that. That's going to be on January 15th.
So yeah, what I'm doing now is I'm mixing my darkest color, which means even less water and more paint, just to add some final touches and to make sure the painting has contrast between light and shadow.
One of our viewers had a question. The sky, would you put that in before the details?
Yeah, yeah. If you missed the part where I was explaining why, it's because some paper might not hold this well when you layer. So basically, what can happen is that when you put your details first and then you put your sky over your details might like flow a little bit.
I'm also going to go ahead and post Elizaveta's Instagram handle. You should go check out her work and see all her awesome paintings that she has on there. So you said you switched back to the darker dioxide purple?
Yes. I mean, it's still with some yellow ochre, but just more purple and less water.
Doris says it's interesting to see the process of your painting here.
I'm glad. Yeah, I like watching other artists paint as well.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone has such unique styles too, and I love seeing how yours is coming together.
So I'm gonna go over the windows once again and add our deepest areas. Just with these details, be careful to make sure that all your previous layers are completely dry.
And for that, you just don't want the blooming in your painting, right? You want the paint to be able to speak for itself and not mix into other colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Other layers.
I'm going to try and add some volume to the flag. Flag is white and red, but we're not using these colors, so we're going to use all the same colors. But again, because it's white, our mix for this should be really, really watery and light. And instead of red, I'm going to use purple again.
But just to stick with the same colors that you're already using.
Exactly.
Do you feel that's often a choice you have to make when you're painting?
You mean to change the real color?
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing, and not often, because I usually have all my colors with me, but sometimes I do it on purpose because I don't want to ruin the limited color palette, my sketch or painting.
So in this choice, you're choosing to omit that red.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we're pretty much done, apart from the sky, which is a shame we didn't have time to add it. But now, if I don't know, because I'm not adding it because these parts are not dry, and if I add the sky now, it will ruin everything.
Yeah, so you would want to let it all dry.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I think I showed you piece already, so that's how it would look like.
That's amazing. So
yeah,
the sky.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say the sky you would do before the details, which we decided to omit today, but can you explain that to us a little bit?
Exactly, yes. So the sky, it would come after the main washes of our building. Yeah, so first of all, we do the pencil sketch, and then we start with our light areas. So here almost everything is light apart from these little parts and details. So the sky would come after our light, because again, if we put details first and then do the sky over the details, it can ruin it, because your paints can like flow and they will not be like in focus if it's clear. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
You don't want to blur the details after
Exactly.
you've
Yes,
already
that's
put
the
them.
word. Yeah, so they're gonna be blurry.
It looks amazing.
But
I really
sometimes
love.
I even do that. Like when, for example, I do these, and for example, at first I don't think I'm gonna do the sky, but then at the end I think like, okay, I need some background. I still paint the sky over the details, but of course they should be at least dry, completely dry. And even if it's like blurry a little bit, it's still okay. But I mean, I'm just telling you the proper technique for this.
I love it.
So now what we've done is we did everything apart from the sky.
And it still looks great. That going through all the details of how you did the sketch and everything was so helpful to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to you, Elizaveta, and we can just wrap up here. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. I am Anna from Etcher, and I'm just so glad to have spent this hour with you guys, with Elizaveta here, showing us a little demo of her work. If you haven't already, sign up for that mini workshop so you can see more and have an opportunity to work with Elizaveta a little bit more. And also, if you were painting along today, you can go ahead and do the hashtag Etcher mini workshop, and you'll have a chance to be entered into our monthly art contest when you can win a $50 voucher to use in our art shop. So that's a great opportunity. I'll post that in the chat for you. Elizaveta, thank you again for being here today. And thank you to all our viewers.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to paint with you all. Yeah, thank you.
And don't forget, if you want to fill out our survey as well, you guys can just go ahead and do that and give us some tips. Or if you're loving everything, go ahead and do that as well. And I'll post that in the chat for you guys. Thank you again. I'm going to switch back to the drawing one more time, the painting, so everyone can see your wonderful work.
Okay, yeah, so just quickly what I would add, the last thing is I would erase all the pencil, like all the extra pencil details if it's possible. But again, just make sure that your painting is completely dry.
So many thanks are coming our way too. Thank you again, guys. Have a great evening, afternoon, wherever you are. And we will see you in our next live demo or in our mini workshop.
Bye-bye.
Bye.